When considering how to distribute merit pay, you want to take into consideration the two components of performance. One is the work results that are achieved, and then the second component are the observable behaviors. On the continuum, anybody who is already in the top right-hand corner, we would say are the high accountable employees. So it would make sense that the larger increases will go towards people who are performing at this level. Next, we can look at somebody who was promoted recently into a new role. More than likely, this person has already received some sort of pay increase, so we probably wouldn't be spending a lot of our merit dollars here. Another scenario could be somebody who's new to the organization, new to the role. They're in that growth mode, but because they're new to the organization, you want to just determine whether they would receive some sort of prorated amount for merit or whether you're going to hold off until the next merit cycle. The next performance type to consider is the person who is not new to the role, and despite having time in the job, training, and support, we would say that their behaviors are on target because they're right of center, but their work results are off target. For this individual, probably about 25% of the job is getting done. So when we have somebody who is in this area and they're not making progress, you want to consider probably a very reduced merit increase or none at all, and certainly considering some sort of performance improvement plan. Next, we want to consider people who are performing in the top left of the continuum. These are individuals whose work results are on target because they're above this mid-level line, but because they're left of center, their behaviors are somehow off target. This would mean that they're demonstrating an observable behavior that is unexpected, it's detracting from their overall value, could be disruptive to others, slowing the work down. So we want to consider some sort of merit pay increase that is much more reduced than somebody who's operating in the top right-hand corner. Last is anyone performing in the lower left-hand corner. This means that their work results are off target and their behavior is somehow off target, and it probably seems fairly obvious now that we've gone through the other parts of the continuum and merit pay decisions that anybody who is operating in this area here probably would see no pay increase and should definitely be on some sort of performance improvement plan. Here's just one example of how you can use the continuum to establish merit guidelines. As you can see, anybody who's operating in the top right-hand corner, their percent increase is going to be higher. And as you see, anybody who's in the top left, even though their work results are at the same level, there's the value detracting behavior, which is then reflected in the merit increase recommendation. And I would also say anybody who's operating in the lower left or the lower right and not tracking up would see a 0% increase. In addition to considering the performance dimension, we also want to look at the salary range and thinking about where is the employee within the range, whether your organization uses market data or maybe has an internal salary structure. If I have somebody who's a top performer and they're in the minimum or even the mid, I want to consider a larger pay increase. And if I have somebody who is one of my top performers and they're already at the maximum or maybe even above, I want to consider giving some sort of bonus payment that's not going to impact the base pay and put the person even more over the limit, but will also recognize the employee's performance and their contributions. There are 5 guidelines to keep in mind when you're making pay decisions without ratings. The first is to use some sort of metric, a tool to measure employee performance. I like using the performance continuum. It's a way to recognize that an employee's total performance is a combination of work results and observable behaviors. And then you consider reduced or no change in pay for off-target work results or behavior. This way you have more money to spend on your high accountable, your high-performing employees. And then you'll give larger increases for your high performers who are in the lower end of the pay range and those who have had a significant impact on your organization or in your business, and for those who are your high performers who are in need of market adjustments. And then consider one-time bonus payouts for your high performers who are in the upper end of the pay range. This way you're not increasing their base pay and it's a one-time payment. If you're really stepping away from ratings, one important gesture is to express your pay increase as dollar amounts versus percentages. So part of your pay policy could read something like, adjustments in pay are reflected in the March paychecks as a dollar amount. This way the manager gets to say, thanks Jim for your hard work, you're going to see a $3,500 increase in your pay this year, versus thanks Jim, you're going to see a 1.75% increase in your pay this year.